Our story opens up in July of 1998. S.T.A.R.S Alpha Team was sent to investigate the disappearance of Bravo Team. Bravo Team, who was sent to investigate Spencer Mansion on the outskirts of Raccoon City due to some strange events and attacks being linked to the old isolated mansion in the Arkley Mountains. After Bravo Team failed to check in, Alpha Team members Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, Barry Burton, and S.T.A.R.S Commander Albert Wesker set out with chopper pilot Brad Chickenheart Vickers to find the missing teammates. You'll see in a moment why Brad got the nickname Chickenheart. After landing, Joseph finds our number one on the kill count. It's Bravo Team chopper pilot Dewey, who seems to have been mauled to death by what? We'll find out here in a second. And Joseph ends up as our number two on the kill count, being attacked by the same infected dogs. Jill watches on in horror, being frozen in place, as one of the infected pooches notices her and is looking for a second helping of that sweet, delicious human meat. Human meat. But just before getting a taste of the Jill sandwich, the dog is shot mid-jump by Chris. But the infected dogs are still craving a third helping of human meat, so they give chase to their surviving members. Brad Chickenheart Vickers lives up to his nickname and flies off, leaving his fellow S.T.A.R.S members to fend for themselves. But just as the dog was about to take a bite out of Chris's rock-punching arm, Wesker ex machinas a bullet into the zombie dog, who lets out a monkey noise in disapproval. I'm sorry, what was that noise? Yeah, that sounds like a monkey to me. The survivors make like a tree and get out of there, running to the mansion for presumed safety.
Now why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
It's leave, you idiot. Make like a tree and leave. You sound like a damn fool when you say it wrong.
This is where we enter the survival horror. Boom, boom, boom. But only 3 of the 4 members make it to the main hall. Chris is missing for some reason that's never fully explained. A gunshot rings out. Barry and Jill go off to investigate, thinking it's Chris. Wesker, who's the obvious traitor, who stays behind to try and look cool with his nighttime sunglasses on, to, in his words,
secure this area.
Secure the area. So Jill and Barry leave his bitch ass behind and go check out the sweet digs on the road. Barry finds a puddle of blood in the dining room and feels a strange urge to look at it for more than 5 seconds. Unlike a normal person who'd be like, yep, that's blood. Not Barry. So Jill goes off and investigates on her own, coming across our first zombie who's on a dinner date with Kenneth. With the zombie's dinner interrupted, he turns around and gives the iconic head turn. Oh my god, so cool. Jill runs back out to Barry, who for some reason is still super interested in the blood puddle. She tells Barry it's a monster, and Barry drops the zombie with a few shots from his big Colt. But since this is not 1998 and Zombieland hasn't been made yet, Barry forgets to rule number 2 of the zombie and walks off with Jill to report their findings to Wesker. And just as the pair are about to reach the door, you can hear the zombie get up and head back to his tasty, tasty Kenny sandwich. Barry and Jill walk into the main hall and, surprise, surprise, their Matrix look-alike leader is nowhere to be found. Barry comes up with the bright idea to split up and cover more ground because it's a horror game and sticking together would be smart, giving Jill the master of unlocking a lockpick before sending her off on her own in a house full of hungry cannibal zombies. What a smart idea. Jill, not listening, goes up to the 2nd floor where she's almost shot by Barry because she can't follow simple instructions to stay on the 1st floor, because even trained professionals in the S.T.A.R.S community keep dying because they can't listen to simple instructions. Barry finds our number 4 on the list, Forrest, who, even though has been dead for no more than a few days, looks like he's been through one too many Weekend at Bernie's sequels. Forrest was apparently pecked to death by a murder of crows, pun intended. And though he later comes back, and you have to kill him for lack of a better word twice, he only goes on the count once, and I'm not going to show it because editing is hard. Jill and Barry split up again, and Jill runs into Richard, who in his words was bitten by a big poisonous snake. Biggest understatement ever. We waste 3 minutes running through the mansion to get back to him and give him a vial of anti-venom. And because S.T.A.R.S members have the IQ of a raisin, Jill forgets to get a vial of anti-venom for herself. That will come into play later. Jill gives Richard the cure. Even though his arm is turned into beef jerky, he appears to be fine. Jill, the master of unlocking, is curious about the size of Richard's snake, so she goes off to look for herself. And what she finds is Richard's horrible lack of proper definition of the word big. Herman the snake, I don't know if that's what I call him, I guess. His name looks like a Herman. Well, Herman decides he wants to try Jill's sandwich for himself. But Herman is a good boy who listens to his mom and doesn't have a new meal when there's leftovers still in the fridge. Richard says, "Screw you, Jill, for running and getting me a vial of anti-venom. I'm gonna die either way." And Richard ends up as number 5 on our list. Idiot. After defeating Herman the Snake, Jill goes to an outside area, to a guest house or groundskeeper house. I don't know what the hell it is. It's just outside the mansion. Brad comes through on a radio that Richard gave her, and for some reason, Brad is able to be heard by Jill, but Jill can't be heard by Brad. Surprise, surprise. Anyway, Jill enters a small house in a huff, and just before she's about to open a door on the inside, gets knocked out by a beast called Lisa Trevor. Lisa Trevor knocks her out, drags her over by the fire, but instead of trying to kill her while she's unconscious, waits for her to wake up so she can try and kill her while she's conscious and is able to fight back for some reason. Anybody who's anybody knows that ammo is limited and said, "Fuck this bitch," and ran away. In the process of running, Jill stops. She stopped because she hears Barry talking. And you can hear a muffled other voice, but it's never really revealed who it is until later. Spoiler alert, it's fucking Wesker. Anyway, after all this, Jill decides to walk in on Barry, who claims that he was talking to himself and it's all due to old age. And Jill, because we already visited this in the past, has the IQ of a raisin, somewhat believes him, and miraculously, for some reason, after seeing all the zombies, monsters, demon dogs, and gigantic snakes, they split up again, and Jill goes underground to a gigantic Shark Tank thing, and no, it's not the TV show, it's the actual Shark Tank, and she has to drain the water to get to the lower parts that are now blocked because the tank is ruptured. After draining the water, Jill passes by one shark. We're going to name him Bruce 1. He's flopping his little heart out, but you know what? We're not going to put him on the count because we don't put animals or zombies or monsters or anything like that on the count. It's just a lot of shit to go through, so, Bruce 1 can flop his heart's content there. Anyway, she passes by Bruce 2. I don't know why I'm calling him Bruce 2. He's bigger. But Jill decides, there's an item over there that I need, so, fuck this fish. And she pushes an electrical junction box into the water, shocking the shit out of Bruce 2. So she gets her much needed item. She walks by Bruce 1, who's still flopping to his content. She says, "Fuck that fish," and walks through the door, leaving Bruce 1 to flop to his fate.
Fish are friends, not food.
After Jill leaves with her item at the cost of Bruce 1 and Bruce 2, she gets wrapped up by a tentacle dick monster, because this game was made in Japan, and they're really into that shit for some reason. Barry X-Mach his way into the situation with the flame tosser for some reason, never really explained how he got it, and absolutely disintegrates the tentacle sex monster. Just in the nick of time, to the dismay of a lot of kinky people everywhere. Don't worry, I'm pretty sure if you search online, you'll be able to scratch that itch. I mean, Rule 34 exists for this very reason. Anyway, after chatting with Barry for a little bit, they decide to split up again. Shocker. And Jill randomly runs into Wesker, shooting his gun down a random hallway. Perfectly normal. He talks his way out of it, saying that he was doing it to scare off some monsters, because everything we've seen so far shows that those are how the monsters react to gunfire. They totally could be scared off. Yeah, not suspicious at all. However, we soon find out what, or I should say, who Wesker was really shooting at. It was Bravo member Enrico, the last surviving member of the Bravo team, aside from Rebecca Chambers, who we don't meet in Jill's story. Anyway, Enrico is about to reveal the identity of the S.T.A.R.S member who was a traitor, like we don't really know already. But the mystery Black Boot guy shoots Enrique, making him his number 6 on our list. But the Black Boot man runs off before we get a good look at him. Jill makes her way deeper underground and runs into Barry. Again, Jill's raisin starts actually working and questions how Barry always seems to be ahead of her, without keys and puzzle pieces, and decides to stick a gun in his face and demands him to hand over the cheat codes he's been using. Answer the questions that she has. The mother, face-wearing Lisa Trevor, is back, and Jill decides to give him the Game Shark, his gun back. At the last minute, Jill's raisin, firing on all cylinders, decides to solve a puzzle in the middle of a boss fight, revealing the remains of Lisa Trevor's mother. Not satisfied with wearing just her mother's face, Lisa Trevor grabs her mother's skull and then jumps into the pit from the Golden Child.
There's the ground! There's the ground, Monty! There's no ground here!
After continuing deeper down into the underground lab, which is a staple in every Resident Evil game, Jill finds a slideshow revealing not only all the monsters that she fought up to this point have been made on purpose by Umbrella, but that, are you ready for this shocker? Wesker. Yes, Wesker was behind everything.
I know, right?
After going even deeper down, at this point, we're past hell and we're about to pop up on the other side of the fucking planet, she meets back up with Chris, who up until this point has been reenacting his favorite scene from Metal Gear Solid, kinky bastard. After a short conversation, Chris deadpan says the dumbest line in the entire game.
Hey, no sightseeing though.
Yeah, that's what she's gonna do. Go sightseeing. Fucking moron. Just for that shit, I'd leave his ass rotting that cell for Black Boots to deal with. Wesker. I can say his name now. Wesker. That's what I mean. After leaving Chris behind to go sightseeing, she runs into, you guessed it, Barry again. And they go down. Again. Fuck, is this game almost over yet? So you get to the underground lab and see Wesker typing away at a computer. Barry points a gun at you, and again, it's not a shock because you already tried to do it once before. Wesker is holding Barry's family hostage and using them to control him. Wesker orders Barry away and pistol whips Jill before going on his mandatory villain monologue. Barry says, "Fuck my family," and comes back and saves his friend, shooting Wesker and asking for forgiveness. Oh, isn't that sweet? But again, Barry forgets Zombieland survival rule number 2 and doesn't double tap Wesker. And Wesker gets up and hits the drain button on his freakishly large naked man baby thing, and it busts out of the glass case. Why it didn't do that before, I don't know. Wesker, with his science boner, thinks that it will just kill Jill and Barry, but
Surprise, motherfucker!
Wesker is the first one to get his comeuppance, and yes, Wesker is going to go on the list here, because the only reason that he's in the next games is because he purposely infects himself, so yeah, the human version of Wesker is dead. A small basement fight ensues with the Tyrant, and Jill finally drops the big behemoth with a few well-placed dick shots. After Jill drops the Tyrant, she wakes up Barry because the poor guy was all tuckered out after getting bitch slapped. They look over and see that Wesker's body is gone, but like I said, he's only alive because he infected himself on purpose to escape, so he's going to stay on the count. Jill and Barry rescue Chris from his Metal Gear Solid prison, and all three of them enter the elevator and finally go up for a change. But before reaching the rooftop, Chris and Barry decide to stay behind for some weird ass reason, and literally they only stay behind for a couple of seconds. You'll see here in a little bit. Anyway, Jill reaches the rooftop. Jill fires some magic flares in the air so the pussy chopper pilot Brad can come back to the rescue. For some reason he was still flying around the mansion for hours and hours with no sign of life. Maybe he heard some explosions or something, but anyway, he comes back. Chris and Barry show up quickly after the flares go up in the air. Kinda makes me wonder why the fuck they decided to stay below for 30 seconds. The Tyrant gets jealous and lonely and decides to join the rooftop get-together and bust through the floor like the fucked up version of Kool-Aid Man. Somehow, Chris gets swiped in the chest full force. There's blood and everything. The same kind of hit that killed Wesker, but is nothing to the Raccoon City rock puncher. Brad, somehow still flying the chopper, has the ability to toss down a rocket launcher Arnold Schwarzenegger used in Commando. After picking it up and allowing the Tyrant to get a free hit on Jill, Jill turns around and says, "You want stars? I'll show you stars." Okay, relax. I know that was Resident Evil 3, just a joke. This whole video's a joke. Just breathe. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. Jill, Chris, and Barry fly away with the sissy Brad, the chopper that should have never left in the first place. They get a nice aerial view of the mansion blowing up, and just since this is my video and it's a joke and nobody really cares, we're going to put Rebecca Chambers as the 8th and final victim because she's not on the chopper and she's never heard from again after this game. After this, all tuckered out from a big adventure, Jill lays her head on the rock puncher's shoulder and falls asleep. But once they land back at the RPD, the surviving members collectively yell and scream at Chief Irons, and he's got a "I'm getting too old for this shit" look on his face. So there you have it. 8 confirmed kills in the first remake of Resident Evil. If you guys are interested in me doing more, I'm looking forward to probably doing Resident Evil 2 next. Well, just hit that like and share button. This video was probably the most editing I've ever done in any video, but it was a labor of love. I really enjoyed it, and I actually really want to do more of these. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys. Take care, have a good weekend, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.